Play something that cheers you up, man. I don't know if there's anything that's gonna cheer me up. Unless you guys want to watch me like... No, you don't want to watch me do that either. I was gonna say, unless you want to watch me like try to take notes on disassembled Bubble Bobble, but no. You promise you'll start saving your golds? Liar. You'll save it immediately once you get a 2-cycle Osceola. That's like the only real difference between your sum of best and mine is the 2-cycle Sigma. Yes, we do. No, you don't. You're a bunch of liars. Here, I'll show you what it fucking looks like when I do this nonsense. Where is my screen? I don't even know where the scene is anymore. Is it Dankest Dungeon? Was that my desktop share? No. Oh, desktop is what it's called. All right. Yeah, sure. Save those splits. You see this? This is cool, isn't it? I like this effect. Anyway, the question is, what's the best way of doing this? There you go. There's Bubble Bobble. Here's notes. I have this whole thing up side by side with this thing. So it looks like this. But see, this is the thing is like, you can't easily like have this up and take notes because I have to keep jumping between the two things. So it's not even like really easy. I'd have to like do something dumb, like pin this to the right or something like this. And this doesn't look very good either. It's just tedious. Take us through it. I mean, this subroutine you're looking at right now is for when you're floating. I have a breakpoint set. Does a bunch of shit. But see, here's the other thing is I don't know what half these memory addresses do. Like, pretty sure 2 and 3 are temporary variables that are just being cleared out here. But like, I don't know that for certain. Looks better than what you used to do when you were a child playing Minecraft and watching YouTube at the same time, so it's all good. But again, all you're going to watch me do is click... Is it F5? No, F11. Hit F11 to step through this. And then, like, take notes for stuff. And then occasionally click over here to Bubble Bobble Part 2. And, like, scroll through this to figure out what memory address I'm looking at is what I've documented for, like, what it's using. And it's not even that, because like this is something right here. This is set on level load. I don't know what it's for though. So like, it's 476. That's the one I just made a note of, right? 476, yeah. So like that's great. Like it's not helpful. This is sick gameplay, not gonna lie. Even though you have no idea what's happening. All right, so quick summary of what this is. Let's turn off this breakpoint. This game that you see right here, this is Bubble Bobble Part 2. It's just a game. It's a game I speedrun. It's goofy, it's fun, there's a bunch of silly stuff that happens in the game. It's fine, whatever. Cool game. I really like it. What I'm doing right now is I'm documenting how player state changes in the like game code. So this right here, this is the game code. And this emulator Meeson disassembles the game as it plays the game if you run the debugger. And will show you like what code has run and like what hasn't run. So like what you're seeing here, so all this stuff that's white right here, this code has run. This data blocks is data that has been read by code. So like it's easier to look at it not right here. It's easier to look at it over here. So like this line right here, 9.3 DC, which is actually B3 DC, but this is a whole thing about memory that's just not interesting. So we're not going to go into it. Is loading data from a table of data that is right here. So when you see this down here, this is the data table. There are 16 bytes in this data table. It has only ever read the first 4 at this point. This this unidentified block is the rest of this data table, presumably, that hasn't been read by code yet. And if we scroll through here, this green lines here are lines that have never been executed so far. So like whatever this, I don't remember exactly what this function is, but right here. So like it has never gotten, every time we've gotten to this line, branch on carry clear, 47C has been, I don't remember the exact, what is 47C? The bubble charge length has never been, hold on, what is this doing? Yeah, bubble charge length has never been greater than 78 because it literally can't encode, by the way. So like this is just some sort of weird error handling, but if in the event that it did get to larger than 78, this code would run. What is status 563? 563 is special state. Okay, yeah. So like if your charge state was greater than 78, it would set you to floating, but this can't happen in this subroutine, so like it doesn't get called. It's just weird. So that's what this is. This is the game code that as the game runs, it shows you the code that's running. What this is in Notepad is this is the disassembled game code that I disassembled. So I ran a disassembler on Bubble Bobble Part 2, and this is the code it spit out. It is not 100% accurate. So there are lots and lots of typos and issues in here. And it's more easy to see in a file like this. Like, there's literally no way that this is code right here. No way. There's no way this is code. This is just 4 bytes of data that, for whatever reason, the disassembler interpreted as code. This should just be a more data like you see with the rest of this. Yeah, so this is what Weeb's always asking me to do on X4, is to look at this, figure out boss algorithms. Oh, hey, I got a raid. Thank you so much, Craig808, for the raid. Really appreciate it. This is kind of the end of my stream really fast. But this is something I'm doing on the side, is disassembling Bubble Bobble and Bubble Bobble Part 2 and taking notes. Just to try and find some interesting stuff to see if there's like any, I also don't have a camera in this scene. My bad. But this is just to try and see if there's any interesting thing in the code that I can use in the speedrun. And these nerds in chat really wanted me to show it off. So that's what I'm doing right now. But thank you so much for the raid. Normally we play Mega Man X4. I just finished a run. And it was pretty good paced. It was PB paced going into the boss rush, and then I choked it. But still a good time. Low 45. So we're happy with that. No worries, that's awesome. You're playing Mega Man 2. I love Mega Man 2. I've speedrun that game before too, although not very well. You're just an alien working at a convenience store. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so like this is me just going through here trying to figure out what all this crap is doing. You just beat it for the first time? How'd you like it? It's one of my favorite NES games. It's probably my favorite classic Mega Man game. Interested to hear your thoughts. Yeah, like what we're doing right now is just kind of stepping through this disassembled nonsense. Where's this breakpoint? There we go. So I have not going into this subroutine. This subroutine is a nightmare. So we're skipping it for now. It was fun. Wily stage was a bitch. All right. Question. Which Wily stage was your least favorite? And was it the one that ends with the stupid boss that you need to use Crash Bomb 100% effectively? Otherwise, you can't win. Because that's my least favorite Wily stage. And like, I'll admit fully right now that is terrible game design. They're the worst. Yeah, Boo Beam Trap sucks. That triggered some really bad memories. Yeah, dude, that stage is really really tough. Even in a speed run, I think it's probably like the hardest stage. And then the boss is just a nightmare. Like honestly, if it wasn't for the boss, I don't think that level would be quite as hated as it is. But that boss in particular is just the worst. Honestly, the Wily stages are kind of a bummer in that game in general. Um, honestly, I think 4, which is Boo Beam Trap, is terrible. So like, I'll give you that one. The first level I think is really hard the first time you play Mega Man 2, but once you've played the game a bit, I think that level like is not so bad. Especially once you know the boss weakness, like, and how to fight the boss. Like you can jump up here. I'm gonna add a camera to this scene just so it doesn't. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let me copy camera out of here. Oh, I closed the camera. Give me 2 seconds. Webcam. Desktop. We'll just drop a camera right in here. Who needs to see? Oh, and the camera's in the wrong spot now too. That's I'll look at my junk. There we go. But so the first, like, once you know how to fight the dragon, I think it's that stage is kind of fine. And that's true. There are a lot of moments where you can screw yourself over with weapon energy. Yeah, if you run out of platforms on the Wily 1, you can't climb up to the top. You got to farm it. If you run out of, what is it, item 2, the jet on Wily 2, you're just like kill enemies till you get enough weapon energy. I don't think Wily 3 has anything like that. And then yeah, Wily 4, if you run out of Crash Bomb, you're just screwed entirely. So that's a bummer for sure. And then after that, I mean, Wily 5 is what? The boss rush, and then Wily 6 is the alien. Which I guess running out of bubble lead on the alien would also suck. But yeah, anyway. That's what I was just showing this off really quick. But yeah. I'm probably not gonna spend a lot of time debugging through this, but I can click through here really quick and we can just kind of figure out what's going on for this one pass. So this right here, LDA00, is loading 00 into the accumulator, which is just a spot in the CPU that stores a number. So this 80 is going to become 0 when this runs. And then what STA is doing is it's writing 0 to these memory addresses, or it's writing the accumulator to these 2 memory addresses. So memory address 2, which is right here, is going to get written 0 when I run this one. Same with memory address 3 right here, going to get written to 0 when I run this one. You've never seen the underside of speedrun research? Okay, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so let's not... It's certainly interesting, but it's not like... This is tedious in the extreme. I kind of only do this at night after, like, I've done everything else I want to do for the day. But I mean, it's interesting for sure. Again, also LDA. So there's 2 different ways you can use. There's a couple different ways you can use LDA. When are we going to do this for X4? The second somebody tells me how to disassemble a PlayStation 1 game. This is a list of all the instructions that you can run on this assembly language. And if we come here to LDA, there's a bunch of different addressing, which probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but you can immediately, you can just load something into memory or into the accumulator like we do here. You can load a 0-page address, which is address in the first, or it's a memory address in the first like 200 and is it 256 bytes? I can't remember how big the 0-page is. I think it's the first 256 bytes. It's slightly faster than loading bytes later. It's like one cycle faster. That's what this is doing. It's loading memory address 14. Which memory address 14 is the frame counter, so it's currently the 7th frame And the frame counter just cycles 0 to 256 over and over and over again. So that's what that's doing. Loads the frame counter into the accumulator. Is it possible to disassemble PS1 games? It is, but I tried to do it once and it didn't work, and so I just kind of gave up on it. Oh damn, a bunch of people followed me. Shit, sorry y'all. Keyvan Gamer 12, Craig 808, Paper Dawn, thank you so much for all the follows. Really appreciate it. I don't have alerts and stuff set up because I rarely show my desktop off. So and then now we're into some weird stuff. So this isn't a bitwise and. If you're unfamiliar with how bitwise ands work, it's not the easiest thing to explain. But I can try really quick, I guess. So like a byte is 4 bits, or 8 bits, sorry. So it looks something like this. This is what a byte looks like. Any one of these bits can be 0 or 1, and how they're set determines what this means in hex for a number. And this can be between, this is 0, this is 255. And then everything in between is all 256 numbers. What and is, so if you take a number like this and you and it with a number like this, the result of these two numbers is anywhere these are both 1 is still 1. So like the result of this operation would be this. So like, because these 2 bits and these 2 bits are both set, so the result is these 2 bits are ignored because they're not set. If that doesn't make any sense, that's fine. It's the whole thing. But anyway, so that's what this is doing. It's anding this with 3. This looks complex as fuck, and it's definitely not something you're going to learn. Okay, this is NES assembly. NES assembly is trivially easy, and it's still a pain in the ass. So, like, yeah. Yeah, so what this is doing is it loads the frame counter, ands it with 3, and if the result is not equal to 0, then it branches to this memory address here. So what that basically means is every 4th frame, it will not branch. And that's just the whole thing with, like, it's just how I interpret this. There's probably a smarter way of interpreting it, but this is how I personally am interpreting it. So every 4th frame, or anytime the frame counter is not divisible by 4, branch. Which is every 4th frame. So we're going to branch here because the frame counter is 7. 7 is not divisible by 4. So we now jump down here to this subroutine, which I already know what this subroutine does. It updates player direction based on your inputs. We're going to skip over it. And now if the result of this operation is 0, basically if you're not holding an operation, if you're not holding a direction, then we branch. I'm not holding a direction, so we are going to immediately branch again, which branches to down here, which is D4. I don't remember what D4 does. This might be player upgrades. I don't remember how to cycle left on this now that it's small. Yeah, D4. Oh, so D4 is the memory address used to update player position. All right, so it loads in the player's. It loads in a value that is used to update the player's position, and then it does some more operations which are weird. So it clears the carry flag, which is a flag in the CPU. Or I think this is actually a memory address. I don't remember exactly how these flags work, but basically this flag is true whenever you've done a math operation that is too big. Like, so if you if you took the number 1 and subtracted 10 from it, right? Memory or bytes don't keep track of negative numbers. Well, they can, but in this case they don't. It's just you have a single byte represents a number between 0 and 255. So 256 numbers. When a math operation would cause you to roll over, so like if you subtract into a negative range or add numbers past 256, it sets this carry flag to indicate that you have done an operation that caused some rollover in the byte memory. And so what clear carry flag does is it basically just immediately unsets this flag. So if something had previously set this flag, it unchecks it. And carry flags actually used for a couple other things too. When you do comparisons, carry flags get set for like greater than and stuff. But for the most part, it's used for math. So what we're doing right here is it's clearing out the carry flag, and then it's adding with carry 3. So basically, if D4 was a high number, like if it was FF, when we added 3 to it, the carry flag would be set. I have no idea why that's relevant because I don't know what we're gonna do next. But basically, this is adding 3 to D4 and making sure that the carry flag is set when that operation has finished running. And that's actually going to be relevant down here, logical shift right, because this will also set carry flags. But this is getting confusing now too. But anyway, so right here where we just were, we're adding 3 to the, we're adding the memory address, or the value at memory address 3 to our accumulator. So the value at memory address 3 is 0 because we set it to 0 right here. We didn't run this code. So I think what this means is it's only updating your position when you're floating every 3rd frame or every 4th frame, which is kind of weird. But anyway, we'll just take a note. Update D4, or basically add 3 to D4. Add the value, how do I want to say this? Add the temp variable 3, to D4. All right, that's what these 4 lines of code do. If you change that 0, will the game crash? Which 0? Right here? Probably not. It depends on what the memory address is used for. So like a lot of these memory addresses, I can change willy-nilly and nothing happens. It might do some weird stuff, but it's not a big deal. However, memory address 51, literally every time I've ever changed it, the game has crashed. Who knows why? It just does. I haven't been able to figure out what memory address is at 51 does. But every time you change it, the game blows up and just crashes immediately. There's some weirdness where if you set 75 to 04, 06, or 07, during certain operations, it will cause the game to enter an infinite loop. If you do it, because the thing is when you change the memory address, the code is just running in the background. So if you're at a point where this is volatile, or where it's executing this code, then it will break. But if it's not executing this code, it might not break. So some of these are totally just weird. 72 is just which buttons are pressed. So you can change this to whatever value you want. It might do something dumb, but it's not going to crash the game. So just some weird stuff. 72, what is 72? 72, buttons pressed. So here you go. And with 3-0. So what this is doing is, which button is 3-0? Or, hold on. Give me 1 second. So then we like to have a calculator open, set to programmer mode, because then I can type in a number in here, 3-0, and it tells me what the hex value is. So the 4th or the 5th and 6th bits are 1 and or for 3-0. So basically, am I pressing up or down? So if player is pressing up or down, branch to this memory address. I think it's up. I think that's what it's doing. Well, we can figure out really quick right here. So 72 and with 30 is 0. If it's equal to 0. All right, so if you're not pressing up or down. Programmer mode means you're a real programmer. Programmer mode means you literally just need to be able to do really easy conversions that I don't feel like doing in my head. That's all this means. Because the more mental math I do, the dumbest I feel, like the dumber I feel most of the time. I feel like a child looking at something really cool or understanding absolutely nothing and nodding your head. Again, so keep in mind, I do software development for a living. I have been exposed to assembly, and I was exposed to assembly in college. And then I have been looking at this for almost a year, on and off. So like, it's not like I'm just like super smart. I've just been looking at this for a really long time. So like I've started to memorize what things are doing. I've seen them happen enough that I know what they're doing, like how it works. Like it's a whole thing, but it's certainly interesting. It's definitely something that it takes a long time to get used to. All right, so now we're loading D5. And again, so we're doing the exact same thing we just did up here, except we're adding temp variable 2 to D5. D5 is for player Y position, I believe. Yeah, D5 is Y position. So we add 2 to D5, it's 0, whatever. And then again, now it checks if you're holding 2 is what? 2 is A, right? I have it up here. Two is B. So am I pressing B, basically, is what that's checking. So if player is pressing B, branch 2. So this one was not pressing because this is branch if equal. That's what BEQ stands for. BNE is branch if not equal. So basically, if we're let go of B here, it's going to branch. Or sorry. Maybe I have that wrong. Oh, no. So, yeah, sorry. So if you let go of B, it's going to run this code here, which basically says shoot a bubble, change your state to releasing a bubble, and all this stuff. Because I already know what all these subroutines do. But since we are pressing B, it branches down here, which is the end of the subroutine, and then we're done. Anyway, and that's what, oh, damn it. But that's basically what I've been doing over and over again for all these different subroutines for the last year, as I get bored and stuff. But that's just one walkthrough. I need to do this a whole lot because there's a whole bunch of different code paths I haven't checked out, whatever. But that's a quick example of this. I hope you had fun. Now let's raid somebody. Now that we've bored everyone to tears. Who is live? Let's find out. Mike is playing Diablo 4. I'm just going to raid Mike. This isn't so much a hobby as it is a complete descent into madness. But anyway, all of this to maybe find something that would be useful in a speedrun too. Anyway, say hi to Mike for me. Clip this for a good... Yeah, next time someone needs to fall asleep listening to like a really annoying voice, just highlight the last, I don't know, 15 minutes of this stream. It'll be great. Anyway, see y'all later. Thanks for hanging. Thanks again for the raid, Craig. Really appreciate it. I'll be back for more X4 tomorrow night. And hopefully we'll PB then. Oh, I gotta clip that gold too at some point. But anyway, peace. Have a great night, everybody.